Hey guys, this is Jason Douglas, and you are watching the Voice of the Heroes podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's your host, the one and only one, Fleetboy Jetson, and you're listening to the number one anime podcast in the world, Voice of the Heroes. So if you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you can be notified for upcoming interviews and discussions from your favorite heroes and villains from around the world. And today we have a very special guest. She is currently in My Hero Academia, Goblin Slayer, and is Hop in Dragon Ball Super. Let's welcome Amanda Gish. How are you doing? Gish, excuse me.
Gish.
We just talked about this too.
It's
like,
okay.
yo, don't mispronounce my name, guy.
No,
Welcome to the
no,
show.
no.
How you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, let's jump right into it. Let's talk about your IG. Let people know where they can follow you at. By the way.
So IG, that's probably the one that I update the most, especially on stories and stuff. It's Master Gish. So Mastagish.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
I love the handle. I love the
Yes.
IG handle.
Yeah, so it's a play on like, like Master Shake from like Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I actually do. That's what it's a play on.
It's a play on that and me getting my master's degree, but you have to say it like you're cool, like Master Gish. You know what I mean? Like
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, so let's get right into it. You have a deep passion for not only fashion but also for the geek culture, and you do a little cosplaying, and I see you had a nice little arc where most of your fashion and outfit choices was based on Pokemon characters. What was
yeah.
the inspiration behind that?
So I really got into like the evolutions and I thought, how cool would it be to just like have a evolution just be my inspiration for just regular wear? Because I feel like a lot of inspiration, like people a lot of the people that I see, it's like they go out and a lot of like the nerd culture, like stuff is very expensive. Like to get anything that's like licensed or well done or anything like that, you spend a lot of money on them. And I was like, what do I have in my closet already that like anybody just has in their closet? And it was kind of like the beginning of my trying not to overconsume and just trying to reuse things that I already had in my closet. And even just like thrift store type stuff, because I was like, you know what, not everybody is comfortable with like dressing alternative in the geek culture. So what if I just did like a normal outfit in geek culture? I wasn't seeing a lot of that, so I thought I'd try it out.
And you made it work. I mean it, y'all. Y'all gotta, it's gonna be in the description below. Y'all gotta check out her Instagram. She has a very nice amount of pics on there. And it's pretty dope. How did you get into fashion and cosplaying?
So I mean, I have always been into fashion ever since probably I would say high school. So all the way up until middle school, my dad would actually pick out my clothes in the morning, and it would just be because I've never been a morning person. And so when he picked out my clothes in elementary school and stuff, it was fine. I didn't care. But once I got into middle school, I noticed people kind of making fun of me what I was wearing. And I decided to kind of like get some magazines because we won't talk about my age, but back then there was no like big access to like the internet or social media or
Oh, I was there. I was in that era
you
too.
were there with me.
I was in that era.
So we had magazines and things like that, and I would start putting kind of like mood boards together. I mean, theater was huge in my life because I knew I always wanted to be an actor, not necessarily a voice actor, but I wanted to like go into either the movies or Broadway was like my original intent. And for some reason like that, I started collecting like Vogue magazines, all like, and I think my mom ended up throwing it away, but I think pretty much from my sophomore year to like my senior year, I collected like all the Vogues that had come out. And just got really kind of into the fashion world, obviously, not the couture fashion. I was inspired by that, but stuff like Charlotte Russe, I think, was popular then. And I think Forever 21 might have just came out, maybe. But trying to like
We're not
use
gonna talk about our
I
age
know,
on
I
here.
know, I know. Feel free to edit that out if we don't want people to know our age, but
Nah,
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
joking.
But you know, that just kind of, and I just remember talking to like different people about it, and I got to where I didn't like dressing like everyone else at the time, and I just wanted to be a little bit different. And I mean, I liked a lot of the stuff that was a little more expensive, but I would try to recreate that with things that I could afford. Because, you know, as a high school student, I didn't really have. I think I did chores, and I got like $20 a week, and I would try to save that up to, you know, buy cute stuff. But I mean, I couldn't afford my anthropology stuff that I enjoyed. That was too expensive, but I would try to recreate that kind of stuff. And then like the characters that I would even play on stage would inspire me. I'm like, what if I dress kind of like my character, but more appropriate, like nowadays version? So that was kind of like me first drawing inspiration, just from things around me, I guess, and just kind of going from there.
That's what's up. What was your first cosplay? Do you remember?
Misa,
Oh, okay, Misa. Let
Amane
me
Misa.
let me ask you a question, right? Because let's take it back to when we was going in school around that
Hmm.
time. You know, when you back then, if you read comic books or you was into anime,
Oh
you
my
was
gosh.
picked on. Now it's like a part
You're
of the
cool.
culture. It's so popular and it's everybody's doing it. It's so regular. What do you
Yeah.
think was like the stage where the transformation switched? Do you think it was during the pandemic or maybe a little before?
I think it was a little bit before, yeah. Because I remember younger kids talking to me about anime, and I was just thinking about how I was made fun of and bullied for especially liking Pokemon in high school. And it was not cool. It was not cool. And I was like a cheerleader and stuff, and I had to hide that part of my life because I wouldn't be invited to do things. And even then, like the stuff that they like to do, it just wasn't my scene, it wasn't my vibe. But I was still like, I wanted to be accepted and wanted to be cool. I mean, who doesn't as a teenager? Because that's just a tough
Trendy.
time in your life. Now I don't care if somebody thinks I'm weird because I am, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay now to be yourself. And I think that's the best thing that came from it, where people
Hmm.
can actually just be who
Yeah,
they are.
yeah, it's definitely like, and it's kind of funny how the people that made fun of me or tried to like look down upon me, try to like to or tried to contact me when I first started like voice acting, and I was like, no, sorry,
Yep, what
no.
comes around goes around. And
I
we
mean,
don't
I'm
need
not
you
gonna
no
be,
more.
I'm not mean about it. I just didn't respond because
Not
there was.
respectfully, you gotta treat them how they treated you at the end of the day. All right, so
Yeah.
now you are in My Hero Academia. The manga
Mhm.
officially came to an end last month, and the anime should be wrapping up soon. Also, there's been rumors of prequels and spin-offs happening. Would you like to return to that universe?
Absolutely. I fell in love with My Hero. I remember, so I have a really bad hipster mentality sometimes. And when something is popular, I tend to not want to like gravitate towards it.
Oh, that's like my friend. He will not watch if it's really popular. He will not watch it. He'll watch it later
Um,
on, but
Yeah. So I remember because I remember when My Hero like blew up, and I was like, you know, like I'm gonna stick with my, you know, Death Note and Case Clothes and like the stuff that I used to watch. And my sister was like, and my sister kind of feels the same way. She's like, Amanda, watch it. So I went over to her apartment at the time, and I don't think a ton of the English dub was out. So I started watching it in Japanese, and I was like, this is good, this is really good. And I loved their interpretation of superheroes compared to the American. I guess because I was just so used to it, the American or westernized version, that I loved how they didn't have superpowers. They have quirks. And I just thought that was so neat. But I like to think outside the box anyways. And so yeah, I fell in love with it. And then getting to be a part of it was kind of a fluke actually for me, I feel like.
It was something that just happened.
Yeah. So when you first start voice acting, or at least when I started voice acting, I did more Walla sessions than actual parts. And Walla sessions is called like with all actors. That's what Walla stands for. And basically you go in with about 3 or 4 other actors and you do crowd scenes, you do bit parts. And I think it was season 2 that was airing. And we go in for an episode and we start off doing some bit parts for like other students, but they didn't have names yet. And pretty much it so happened to be just where I was in the lineup of actors, because once we do the crowd scenes, then they call you in for bits one at a time. So like the first girl goes in, she does a bit part and comes out. The second one, I think I was the third person. And it just so happens Kinoko, who didn't have a name yet, she was like student 3B or something like that. And that was her that was the name that was on the script. That just happened to be like, oh, she just had a reaction to something. So I go in and record like, like that was her reaction and that was it. And so literally a year later, she ends up having a name. And then the next season is when she kind of starts to come into her own. And I was just like, this girl is so cool. Like, I love her so much.
Is she one of your favorites
She's
out of
definitely
your
one of my
characters?
favorites. I mean, in class 2B, 100% my favorite. In class 1A, I really like Froppy.
Oh, I ain't
I
gonna lie. I
love
like
her.
Robbie in the video game of
Uh-huh.
my Ultra Rumble, man.
Oh, I
She's
haven't
pretty
played
good
that.
in that one.
Yeah.
Uh, so definitely, I hope to see a character in the spinoff or the prequel. I hope one of those rumors are true. But
That'd be pretty cool.
what do you feel like is one of your characters um that you really enjoy dubbing? Like, what's your most enjoyable character dubbing?
Ooh, man. It's really a tie, I feel like, between Kinoko and Witch on Goblin
Mm.
Slayer, because Witch was really, really hard to dub. But once I started like learning about her a little bit more, the easier she got and the more I kind of like got that flow in her voice, because she has a very interesting speech pattern.
I do like your character, Witch doing Goblin Slayer. She's one of my favorite. Definitely. Now I want to ask you, right? Are there any upcoming or ongoing anime series? Because I know you're part of the culture that you would like to be a part of, like
Oh,
that you've seen come out recent.
Pokemon.
Pokemon,
Yeah, I
definitely
really would
Pokemon.
love to be in Pokemon. I would love to also be a part of like Persona games.
Ooh,
I'm
interesting.
I got into them when Persona 5 came out, the original one in 2017, and I hadn't played them before. And I fell in love with Persona 5. It was a lot because I wasn't used to games being that long, and it took me a
Oh, you
while
a
to like
gamer?
yes. I would say like yes, I'm not like hardcore, like I'm gonna be on my computer or in front of a console for like 8 hours, but I can be, and then I'll get obsessed, and then I'll stop for a while.
And Persona was one of the games that you got obsessed with, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. And now my husband bought the Persona 3 Reload, I think is what it's called, the Persona 3 remake. And
Mm.
so I have started that one, and I like it too. Like he was
Does
like,
he play him
you should
too?
oh my gosh.
He loves him.
He's a hardcore gamer. He's way more gamer than me, but
How
I
does
go through.
he geek out whenever you get these roles?
I, n- I feel like he does in his head, but he won't show it. You know,
He's like, yes, babe.
like he's very happy and proud of me. I mean, he used to usually just watch the Japanese because I know like One Piece is one of his favorites. And he
Mm.
grew up actually watching the Japanese. And so last year we started the English, and that's slowly becoming one of my favorite animes.
I'm not gonna lie, I cannot watch anime in subtitles anymore. I used to, but I think like it's become so big and
Mm,
so many great actors are starting to
hmm.
come into the business that dub is like the norm for me now. It's like I gotta hear
Yeah.
the dub.
Yeah.
Do you
And
prefer yours subtitles or dub?
I honestly, I prefer both. There are some animes where I want to hear the Japanese because that's what I'm used to. And there are some where I want to hear the dub because I have fallen in love with the way that they had cast it and the way that the director portrayed it. But there's sometimes where a director has portrayed the anime and it just didn't work for me. Not that the acting was bad. I think a lot of people when they think that going with the dub versus sub, blah blah blah. I don't think they're really understanding because majority of the time it's not the acting that is actually bothering them, it's the cadence of the scripts and the cadence of, oh well, they're used to the Japanese cadence, so when that's rewritten out in English sometimes it sounds clunky in
Yeah, it
their
doesn't
heads because
sound the
they're used
same.
to a different flow. And when the script it doesn't flow like the way the Japanese did, um then you like, oh well, the acting is not very good. And I'm like, actually these are really good actors in here. The scripts and the words just are kind of weird with the flaps.
Yeah,
So
and it's
that's something that is hard when you get into the dub and the English and all that kind of stuff, because Japanese and English are extremely different, and it's very difficult to make that flow. And um when you hear a good dub and it all flows together, you've got to give a lot of credit to that writer. I don't think they get enough credit.
definitely. Let's keep it on the anime tip. What are your top 3 animes of all time?
Okay. So Case Closed is one of
Oh,
my all-time favorites, but it's the original Funimation dub
that's
back in
crazy. That's my
2003.
wife's favorite too. I
Really,
swear I cannot make this up.
I that's the anime that inspired me to voice act. When I found
Mm.
out a Funimation, so I was in college or high school or college at the time, and I was watching it on Adult Swim because it came on like after Inuyasha or something at the time. And I love, love, love anything noir, murder mystery, and it still kind of had that cozy kind of vibe to it. And I fell in love with the way that they cast that one. I cannot watch the Japanese. I can't watch the Japanese Detective Conan. And I'm very picky with the Funimation dub of that one.
Okay, so
Um,
that's number 1 on your
that's
list.
number
What's number
one.
2?
Death Note.
Oh, Death Note is one of mine. I really, once again, my wife put me onto that one. Y'all must be on the same wave.
Right. And that one would be number one if it wasn't for that last few episodes that just ruined it for me. I don't know. I feel like it could have ended a certain way and it would have been perfect, like mwah, but like,
How mad was you at Netflix when they did the live action?
oh, I unfortunately watched it twice. I don't know why I did that to myself. Oh, we do not speak of that one. Yeah, I was not happy with that one. It was just a terrible movie in itself. Even if it wasn't Death Note, it just didn't make sense as a movie.
Yeah, so Death Note
Um,
number 2. What's your number?
and then
What's number
I'm
3?
I'm gonna go with One Piece.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of people's number 1. So I'm surprised it even got that low on your list.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't kill me in the chat, but I haven't even started One Piece. I'm waiting
I've s-
for the remake, actually.
yeah, I'm I'm very interested in that because I'm really hoping it's just going to be the same people. I'm like, are my roles going to be coming back for that? I mean,
That's
I know
right.
they
You
were, I
was in
know
One Piece.
I know they were smaller roles, but like, I'd love
Hey,
to
maybe
redo
you can
them.
come back in some bigger roles.
I'd be okay with that too.
And then they got the live action. That's what really dragged me into the universe, which
Hmm.
was the live action. I said, "Oh, One Piece is actually pretty interesting."
It
So
actually,
I'm
because
excited for season
at
2.
first I was like pirates, and I've seen all the pirate stuff, and it just was not what I was expecting. So I highly, highly recommend One Piece.
All right, so let's get in, let's learn a little about you right now.
Okay.
What were you doing before acting and what inspired you to become an actress?
So, when I was 8 years old, I was in music class, and I remember my music teacher, we were auditioning for some kind of like musical or something that we were going to do for the school. And she went around and asked everyone if to think about it and see if you wanted to audition for a speaking part or a non-speaking part. I didn't really register what that was. I think I was in third grade or I was 8 or something. And I went home and I asked my mom, and I was like, Mom, do I want a speaking role or a non-speaking role? My mom goes, Honey, you want a speaking role. I'm like, okay. So I told her I wanted a speaking role, and I ended up getting like the lead like character for the elementary, stage. And
It's still
it was
pretty
like a
big, man.
yeah, I mean, it was like a modern take on A Christmas Carol because it was for like the Christmas pageant for our school. And so it was like a modern day version of A Christmas Carol, but it was a bunch of 8-year-olds. And so I remember getting that. I think I was like Scrooge's secretary, but she was still the lead girl role in that one. So that kind of like inspired me. And I was like, wait, is acting like a job? Like, can I do that? And
I
my
get
mom was
paid for
like,
this.
can I get paid for that? Because like I was one of those kids who, no matter what I was doing or where I was, I played pretend. I was constantly playing pretend. If I saw something, I was like, I'm going to pretend to be this. And then I would like literally tell everybody else what they were going to do. And I just never stopped playing pretend. And it's the only thing I've ever wanted to do. And then when I graduated college, I got a job at our local radio station. And I wasn't a DJ or anything, but it was just like something to do because I was like, I'm never gonna make it as an actor. Like I'm right outside Dallas, and I don't really know what I'm doing with my life. So then I went to get my master's degree, and it was in like not social media. Social media was barely out then. It was in mass media. So it was like radio, TV, and kind of like all that kind of stuff. It's like a communications, but between like media and stuff. And then after that, I ended up teaching speech at some colleges for a while because since I had my master's degree and my undergrad was in speech and theater, I could teach speech and stuff. So that kind of got me through a lot of stuff. And then when I had moved back to Dallas, I started doing some modeling a little bit and got an agent, but I was like really gung ho. I'm like, I want to make this like acting career really, really work. And I pushed and took specific like voice acting classes because I mean obviously like theater, I had done theater throughout everything and acting and all that kind of stuff, but every media is a little bit different for how you act it out. So it was very interesting just doing straight voice acting classes. And then through that it was Sunny Straight who started directing at the time and brought me in to my first session.
And what was the first piece you worked on? Was it
The
one
anime was called Sir Vamp.
Sir Vamp?
It is a vampire anime.
Mm,
Yeah, it
okay.
wasn't very big, but it was towards closer to the mid to the end of 2016, and my first like named role was in an anime called Keijo. which is a sports anime.
Hey, them sports animes are starting to get pretty good too now.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
Blue
This
Lock
was
and Haikyuu.
That's true. That's true. But this was specifically a girl sports anime. And it was they were in pools and they would use their boobs and their butts to knock each other out of the ring. It's actually really, really good. Like, look it up and watch it. It's so good.
I'm gonna check it out.
Like, you think it's fan servicey, and yeah, it is, but there's actually a depth to it. And I was a fan of it before I was even cast in it.
All right, I'm gonna ask you, what line resonates with you on a personal level from any one of your characters that you have voiced in so far?
It would definitely be Witch from Goblin Slayer. And the line is when she's talking to Priestess and she says, "Know your own mind." Because I feel like, especially with like influencer culture and just social media and everything, like, life is confusing enough. And if you don't know yourself, you can really like mess up your timeline and mess up your flow, I feel like. And it's just something that like we need to disconnect. We need to know who we are, and we need to ground ourselves and use that to move forward in our life.
Definitely. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Let everyone know where they can find you at on social media once again.
Yeah, pretty much anything MASTAGISH. That's Master Gish. And it's the YouTube, Twitter, X, and Instagram.
Do you have any upcoming conventions or projects you could talk about?
Let me see. Nothing right now, honestly. I actually recorded for My Hero today, but it wasn't Kinoko.
Okay.
So before I was Kinoko, I was actually Koji's mom. And so she's come back to give him a little bit of advice, like memory advice. So yeah, it was very sweet.
Up,
it was
man.
very
I can't
sweet.
wait
Yeah.
to hear it because I've been locked in all season and I can't wait. Well, this is our episode, man. Make sure you check it out. Our next one and the one before that. Give it a like, comment, and subscribe. Remember that PS5 giveaway is still happening. And the one that we just had in September is going to my guy, BK Billy Hope. Congratulations. You are the winner of that PS5 giveaway. Shout out to all the heroes and villains that have been watching and listening to the podcast. Until next time, heroes, we're out.
Sing it with me, pretty Cali, pretty Cali.